Hello everybody, Riffraff Hornhelm here with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault, and today we have a monster review. This is another subterranean monster from the original Monster Manual for AD&D, and it's just a review of some of the early subterranean creatures that you would run across, especially lower to mid-level in a dungeon back in the good old days. And today we're going to talk about the Carrion Crawler. Now, the Carrion Crawler is not exactly subtle. It's not hard to spot like some of the other creatures we've talked about. They're 9 feet long. Their body is a multi-segmented body, kind of like a cutworm, and it has a head that's a bit more armored, and that also has a bunch of tentacles on it, 8 of them, I believe, that secrete a substance that if it touches you during combat, you have to save versus paralyzation. Now, they're susceptible to, I believe it's fire and regular weapons, other things, spells. They're not hard to kill, and they don't have that many hit points. They do tend to run in groups of, well, it's unusual to run just into one, so usually I'd say, 2 to 6 or something like that. I think the actual number in the book is a bit more than that, but that's not really important in this particular case. As a DM, I've certainly used these before, and for a low to mid-level, and when I say mid-level, that's open to a lot of discussion. I'd say more towards lower level, they can give you some fits. The big thing you have to watch out about is whether or not they get those tentacles on you, because if they're able to hit you with one, they can hit you with the rest of them, and that's a lot of opportunities to paralyze you or have you miss a savings throw. Difficulty in killing them, though, is not that high. Of course, with a name like Carrion Crawler, they like to be around wherever there's carrion. They prefer their flesh fresh, but they'll go with carrion. So either one of those circumstances, you're more likely to find them in an area where there's carrion. Same thing with stuff like rock grubs and whatnot. But they're not going to really bother living people because the dead stuff's easier to find, and in the dungeon they tend to do cleanup. You're going to be able to deal with something like a Carrion Crawler without too much difficulty. And that was definitely the surmise when we asked people about the difficulty on this. So really, when you're talking about it from a DM standpoint, you're talking about a 2, maybe a 3. From a player standpoint, surprisingly enough, it was pretty similar. They looked at it as 2 to 3, unless they were very low level, in which case I heard definitely a couple of 3 and 4s. But they're not the toughest creature out there, not by a long shot, but they're a great representation of a typical type of subterranean creature as found in the early days of D&D. And of course, we're celebrating 50 years this year from the start of D&D, or its release into the marketplace. I can tell you it started a bit earlier than that. Any case, we hope you enjoyed today's brief presentation on our friend the Carrion Crawler. Don't forget to like us, leave comments, happy to answer questions, things like this. Would love to have you subscribe. And of course, what we really want you to do is come back and see us again. So please do so. And remember, dwarves rock.